This session could be addictive. It's about webhooks. You can get hooked to them. So welcome. We are going to talk about workflow automation with Survey123. We have here the round of presenters. Calvin, Ismael, Joel, and Brandon. We all work in Esri. And we have been playing with this concept of workflow automation with Survey123 in the past few months. So we want to share with you a few ideas about this. First, I would say that here the idea is to integrate your Survey123 smart forms with many other applications. This could include applications like, say, databases, Box, Salesforce, Office 365. You are going to be able to do this without coding, out of the box and instantly. And this is important because often when we work with Survey123, we do it in larger business workflows. And every time you have a business workflow, there are different people working together with different tools. So we want this information from Survey to flow within your business with different applications. Here are some common use cases for workflow automation in Survey. First of all, instant notifications. I send an incident report, and based on the priority, maybe the supervisor will get an SMS in her phone. Or maybe we want to send an email to someone. Another one is instant data transfer. As the data gets submitted from the field or maybe from a web browser, we want to push this data, of course, to ArcGIS, but also to other systems. An Oracle database, SQL Server, a Box folder, an Excel spreadsheet. All of that kind of happening instantly as the data gets submitted into ArcGIS. The last one is quite interesting, is data enrichment. What happens when people submit data? Can we enrich the data? For example, if people submit photos, can we process the photos and do OCR, kind of text recognition? Can we get this information into the GIS feature? If you submit a location on a survey, can I do a reverse geocode automatically and enrich my GIS feature with yet another attribute? All of that is actually possible by automating workflows with Survey123. And we will explore some of these. I'm going to give you a quick demonstration, the simplest scenario, which is email notifications. You can scan this code if you like and try out, just submit the code. I'll give you a few seconds to get your phones, scan the code, and submit data. This form will let you submit a location, some comments, and also an email. You will see that we are going to send an email right away to that address. Okay, so hopefully you have it scanned now. So I'm also going to do it in my own machine here. So this is the actual form that some of you are completing at the moment. You have the contact email at the top, a map with your location, and then some comments. We are at the workflow automation demo theater. And then I submit. This survey has been configured with a webhook, with a workflow. And this workflow takes my information and automatically, as you can see, sends an email to me. I was able to configure what content is going to go in that email and who is going to receive the email. Okay? So this is probably kind of the first approximation into workflow automation, sending emails automatically. Now, how can you do this? Well, this can be actually done very easily using third-party workflow automation software, such as Integromat or Microsoft Flow. These third-party tools allow you to visually and easily create workflows that integrate Survey123 with hundreds of other applications. We are building out-of-the-box Survey123 connectors into these tools, like Integromat and Flow. So you can do this without coding and super easy. So for that, We are going to switch now to Brandon's machine, and we are going to see it in just a second. Here is a screenshot of what this will look like in Microsoft Flow. Look at the top. We have a Survey123 connector. Every time you submit data, this connector kind of triggers, launches itself, and then passes your data into the Gmail connector within Flow to send an email. This is exactly the same workflow in Integromat. We have our Survey123 connector sending data into the Office 365 email connector. Let's have a closer look at how this is done on the fly.
All right. So what we're looking at now is one of those third-party integrators, Integromat, and we've gone in and we now want to create our own scenario so that we can, again, submit a survey and then receive an email. In this case, we're going to go through, we're going to add the Survey123 connector. We're going to grab both the information from the survey, including an attachment, and then send that to an email. So here we are in the menu for creating our flow. So I'll go ahead and select this to start. And now I'm simply going to search for the Survey123 connector within this dialog. We can see it's very easy. In this case, again, it's still in beta for Integromat, but you guys can access this through our early adopter community program. So I definitely encourage you to do so. In our case, we just want a survey response or an email to be sent when the survey is submitted. We also have other options, but for our purposes, we'll go ahead and select this one. And we need to then authenticate with our ArcGIS online credentials. So this is all set up for you, simply a 3-click process. We want our connection to go to ArcGIS Online. We can see here, it calls it already your ArcGIS Online connection. We'll continue, and we're prompted right here to now log in to ArcGIS Online. And from this, after doing so, we'll have the ability to then pull from our organization the surveys from which we've created. So these are going to be your own surveys, and we'll see them listed here in a second. But now we're given a list of all of our surveys that we've created. And in my case, I'll go ahead and select my incident report demo theater survey. And just to show you guys, I'm going to save this. This is the survey for which I'm connecting to. So again, I've connected to this survey, and what I'm starting to create is the ability to send an email when this survey is submitted. So let's go back into Integromat here. I'll select OK. And now we've connected again the Survey123 connector to our survey in ArcGIS Online, and we're pulling some of this data now through from the survey, and we'll show you in a minute here. Now I want to add another module or connector, which is our Gmail connector. So I know that I want to send an email when a survey response is submitted. So we just search for Gmail, and here as the top result, I see send an email. Same deal with Gmail. It's going to ask me to authenticate with my Gmail address that I want to send the email from. So we need to make sure they have our credentials. In my case, I already have this set up. You can see that here. And then I want to add a recipient. So here, I'm going to pull this up, and I have another Gmail account, but you can send this to anybody. And actually, you can have this be a dynamic result as well. And we can see that here, that I could actually, what we're looking at is the payload from our survey. So all the responses, including attributes and additional information as well. In my case, I know the email address I want to send it to, so I'll add it in here. And now I want to start to define what's going to be in the subject line. So when this email is sent, again, we have the survey that's been submitted. What do I want it to say? Well, I know it's an incident report, so I'm just going to start off by saying incident report has been submitted. But we can actually go one step further and include a value. So I want to, let's say, include here the priority of the incident report. So this is a dynamic value, again, coming from my survey. So I'll put that in there. And now, whatever response from my severity here I select will be included within the subject matter of, or the subject line of the email. So let's get into now designing what the message is actually going to say. We want some basic information. So for starters, we'll go ahead and include the date. Now with the date, because the way that ArcGIS Online receives it, it's in a Unix code. So we need to take that and actually put it into a human readable format. So the way to do this is very simple. Within Integramat, we have functions available to us. So I'll go ahead and put in the format date function here, and we can see that they have examples as well. But I'll select that. I'll come back. And now I want, again, my dynamic values. So from my attribute list, I'll go down to the incident date, and I'll simply drag and drop this in. And now we could hover over the format date here. And in my case, I want it represented by month, day, year in this format. So I could copy, and then I'll just paste it in the appropriate place. All right. And since this is HTML, I need to add some line breaks because I want it to be on the next line. So I'll add that in. And now I want the severity, again, of the survey that I submitted. So I'll simply put that in here. And again, it's a simple drag and drop. I'll place that there. And for my next, I want the email contact. And that's coming again from a value that's been submitted. So this is how I can contact that person. I'll select OK here. And now we're ready to actually see how this works. At the moment, we'll just see the email sent. There's another way to include an attachment in the email. Not sure on timing if we can go through that, but I'll go ahead and run this right now, and we could see how when our survey is submitted, we're going to get a response through to the Gmail account. So I'll press this once here, and we can see now that the Survey123 connector is listening and waiting for this survey to be submitted so it can get the information and then send it along. So let me put this to the side here. And I'll come back and let's fill out then our survey. So the incident date automatically being taken. We know it's being collected in the convention center. Okay. All right. And let me set the priority here, and we'll take a photo. And we'll give it a comment. Well, in this case, it would be an incident, right? So we'll say incident has been reported. And then we'll go ahead and submit here. Now, as this comes up, we can see that, again, the Survey123 connector has received the response. The survey has been submitted. And if I check my email address now, wait for this.
Are you logged in with that account?
And here we go. So that now the email has been received. And if I pull this up, I'm given again the date, the severity, and the email address which I entered for it to be sent. All right.
Raise your hand if you think this could be handy in your organization. Raise your hand if you think you can do this yourself. That's what I want to see. Brandon has demonstrated Integromat. Microsoft Flow has a similar workflow with connectors. In fact, if you use other third-party automation software like Zapier or Tray.io, you can also do this. We don't have connector for those, but you can actually do that as well. Okay, so let's have a look at some more advanced workflows. In this case, for example, I added a router. Oops. Sorry. So in this case, for example, I added a router which uses the Gmail connector that Brandon demonstrated, but also a Google Sheets connector. So every time you submit data, we add a new row in that spreadsheet. This could be fantastic for auditing, for logs, for example. In this case, I'm using an HTTP module to make a call to our REST API and do a reverse geocode operation in whatever location has been sent with the survey. Once I have the address from my locator, I add it into this Google Sheets spreadsheet. In this case, I am downloading a photo submitted via Survey123. I am then uploading it to Google Drive, and then I'm using the URL from Google Drive to add a new attribute into my feature with that URL. Do you know why that is interesting? Because at that moment, you can create a pop-up with media. So when you click on your feature, the pop-up comes up and you have the image right away. You don't have to click on the attachment. In this case, I'm using again the HTTP module to add a new row into a workforce assignment layer. So you submit from survey and then you create an assignment right away. We are even using the Google Calendar connector to create an event. And this event, just like an email, can include a description with instructions. In this case, I let people submit data in any language they want. And using the Google Translate connector, I translate that text into English so I can insert the English text as an attribute in my GIS feature. In this case, I'm downloading the photo and calling Google Cloud Vision so we can analyze that photo and identify things in it. The output of Google Cloud Vision, we again use to include in an email, update GIS attributes, and also upload the image into Google Drive.
So I will show you the advanced demo. We can use Integramat and the Survey123 connector. So how many of you already know we have a feature report function on Survey123? Okay, so feature report function is you can combine the feature data with report template, and it will create a printable report document for you. So have you ever imagined that it's possible when someone submits a survey, you can get...
Two mics on, so you get feedback.
Okay. Sorry. So is it possible to get email when someone submits a survey? You can get email with the feature report as attachment, and you can immediately get a report. You don't need to go back to Survey123 to generate a report again. You can immediately to get a feature report. So this demo will show you how to do this. So first, we use Survey123 connector to make a trigger to listen any request to this survey. So once the request is to the survey connector, we can get the feature service URL from the payload. Once we got the payload, we will make a post request to our feature report REST API. The feature report REST API, the documentation already in early adopt community. If you are interested in that, you can go there to check out. So right here, we make a post request. We can put token in the URL parameter in the body. We will put source feature service URL in there. And also we need to tell which template we want to use and which feature data we want to use to generate a report. So once we send a post request to feature report REST API, we'll get the JSON file. The response will be the JSON. So the JSON includes the job ID because the feature report is a synchronized web service. You will get the job ID first. Then you will use this job ID to send another request to check if the report is ready or not. So here I got a job ID. I send another post request, get a post request to check if the report is ready or not. The response could be executing, succeed, or failed. If executing, I will repeat again and wait another 10 seconds to check report status again. So if it succeeds, I can get the URL from the payload, from the response, to download the feature report document and include the feature report document in the email and send to someone. Yeah. So if failed, this route is failed, I can send another email to notify someone the report is failed. So that's running. So let's find out the incident report, this one. And try to submit the data. This time change it to high priority. Yes, okay. And send an email, Ninja. And feature report. And submit. So let's go back to Integromat. Okay, got the request and already sent to the create report. Right now, got a job ID. Wait 10 seconds to send another request to check report status. Okay, the first time is finished. Maybe it's executing. So wait another 10 seconds again and send the check the status. Okay, is it succeed? So we can download the feature report document and include it as an attachment and send to the email. So if we check the email,
Go here.
yeah. So right here, the feature report will be included in the attachment, and you will see my photo there. And this demo just show you we can do very sophisticated thing in Integromat, but we don't want you to do this. We want to give you the simple thing. That's why we make another action in Survey123 connector, which called the create feature report action. So right here, let me add another module. So right here, you just need to choose which survey you want to generate a report, and it will load the template item for you. So right here, you just choose, maybe I want to use this report template, and the feature layer, which layer you want to make, and which object ID you want to generate a report. And click OK. That's it. Yeah.
What exactly is a feature report?
So what exactly is a feature report? Is the Word document that he created. The question is, what is a feature report? So feature reports is basically the Word document that he created. He created a Word document, taking the data from the survey and combining it with a Word template. That's what we call Survey123 reports. We can definitely show you more about the custom report service, feature reports, in the showcase. Anyways, we don't have much time, just 1 minute, so I'll be very quick. How is this really happening? Under the covers, we are using this thing called a webhook. A webhook is nothing but an HTTP callback. It's a URL that gets invoked every time a survey is submitted. You can configure your surveys with webhooks, in fact, one or many. And these webhooks can either hit things like Microsoft Flow, Integromat, or even your custom web service. This is a diagram that describes how things work. First, you submit the data from the app or from your web browser. As usual, we submit data into ArcGIS, and a new feature is created. ArcGIS responds back with a response, which we now take along with your data into wherever the URL in your webhook tells us to go. This is where the real business happens. This is where the email notification is automated, where data is added into Excel. So here the trick is, what can I do? Where can I create these processes? You already learned about Microsoft Flow and Integromat, but you can also use your own custom web services. In fact, when you use things like Integromat and Flow, under the covers, we create these webhooks automatically for you. And you can see here in this video how you can look at the webhooks that have been configured with your surveys. This is the payload URL. That is the actual URL that we are invoking when the data is submitted. And the beauty is, again, that URL can be whatever you like. It could be an FME server process, a geoprocessing service, an Integromat endpoint, a Microsoft endpoint, an ASP.NET web service, a PHP thing, some Python code hosted in Lambda, anything you like. So Joel, who is with us, has been actually experimenting with this concept. He actually configured a webhook to go against his own custom web service in Azure. And what he did, and we can demonstrate this in the showcase, is basically to take photos from Survey123 and use Azure image processing capabilities to analyze this image and alter the GIS attributes with information from that image. So if you want to learn more about webhooks with Integromat, Flow, or custom web services, please join us at the showcase and we will be happy to giving you more demos. Thank you very much for your time.